Hey everyone, welcome into Extra Time with the Courage. I'm your host, Jordan Kramer. The NC Courage's win streak stopped at 2 games, but the point streak extends for yet another after their 1-1 draw with the Orlando Pride on Saturday night over at WakeMed Soccer Park. Let's take a look back at how things unfolded Saturday evening against the Pride. The Courage, for a second straight game, scored first and in the first half. Kaleigh Kurtz, her goal in the 27th minute made it 1-0 Courage. That was Feely's first goal of the 2025 season. The Courage were 2 minutes away from a third straight victory when the Orlando Pride scored in stoppage time. 3 minutes into that stoppage time period that was 5 minutes long, they have to settle for the 1-1 draw. I will point this out, though. The variety in scoring we're seeing from the Courage so far this season is really impressive. Excluding the own goal they had against Utah, they have had 7 different goal scorers on 8 goals scored this season. Ashley Sanchez, the only multi-goal scorer for the club so far this year. They've had Feely, Ryan Williams, Brianna Pinto, Riley Jackson, Kaleigh Kurtz, Alini Gomes, all involved in the offense at one point or another. Plenty more Courage players getting involved with the assists, of course, as well. Here to break down the NC Courage's 1-1 draw with the Orlando Pride from Saturday night is head coach Sean Nahas. Sean, for a second straight week, your club has started strong, getting a goal in the first half. What's working so well for this group in creating and capitalizing off of their opportunities early on?
Yeah, I think it's just there's a little bit more continuity over the last couple of weeks in terms of the lineup, and it's just first time all year we've played back-to-back games with the same lineup, so that's always helpful. I think players are just getting more comfortable in the new roles that they're in, but I think also it's just getting over that hump, as I've talked about several times. So I think it's a normal reaction. Obviously, we had a few more other opportunities to make the game a little bit further ahead, but didn't go our way. But I think at the end of the day, the performance for the most part was good in terms of the out of possession. I think it's always good to get ahead early in the half, rather than having to chase the game in the second half, which can always give you some momentum.
Feely scored, of course, the lone goal for you all in that first half. She is the 7th different goal scorer the club has had this season. What does that say about your all's depth on the offensive side of the ball, that you really have had just so many people involved in contributing to the offense so far this year?
Yeah, I think it's imperative. You can't always rely on the same players over the time, and we're not built that way, right? So it's going to be, goals by committee in many ways, and the positions and areas that we want our players to take up will provide those they'll get more opportunities. It's just a matter of whether or not we convert and put ourselves in numbers in the box to be able to make the most of those chances. But look, I think you look the last couple of weeks, Ryan scored, KK scored, Feely scored. It's 3 goals from our defenders, and you don't always want to rely on the defenders to score goals, but the fact that we're putting ourselves in those positions is obviously a good thing.
That's a perfect segue to my next question. Your defenders have really been so phenomenal so far this season. We talked about Macy Bell last week, but you look at who she's going up against in your last couple of games. She's gone up against Banda and Sherwinga. She's been able to lock down both of them. Kaleigh Kurtz, of course, has been phenomenal year in and year out. How imperative has their play been in keeping your club in some of these close games?
Yeah, I think Mace has been absolutely tremendous. It's a tough stretch to come into, and even if you go back to when she first got input into the lineup when Malia went out injured before Gotham game, she had to deal with Esther and Portillo and Gais, and and then you had Kundananji. This is like nonstop for her. But I think what it's done is it's because of the pace that she has and her ability 1v1. It's freed up KK, had to lessen her load in many ways, and she could just defend the central channels to goal. And I think that's been a positive. But Mace was, I thought, tremendous against Banda. I thought the physicality, the speed, the adjustments that she made, she's a big reason why we were so tight in the game.
She's really been phenomenal for you guys this season. I do want to talk about the stoppage time goal quickly. 93rd minute, just kind of a fluky goal. I've been out to your practices. I've been to plenty of your games. I've seen Casey make that save. I mean, 99.9% of the time kind of just felt like it was a timing issue, kind of watching it on the replay a couple of times. What's your message to her following that goal, that game, just so that it doesn't impact her confidence? Because we know that she's the kind of goalkeeper that goal, more times than not, doesn't go in the net.
Yeah, I mean, it's always highlighted because she's the keeper, right? But forwards have five chances and they don't score, but no one talks about it. And we've seen them score goals in training. So, midfielders passing, missing passes in training or in games that we see them make all the time in training. So I think it's, after the game, I had the group together. I did tell them it's a goal we can't give up. If we're going to continue to chase down the top, it's a goal we can't give up, and I let it be at that. I know how she felt, and I know it was already going through her mind. It's not the reason anything happened. We had some clear cut chances. We could have made it two or three, and then I just let it die out. And then about 15 minutes after, I went up to her and put my arms around her and just said, "Look, you got to move on. Like, what are we going to do? It's not Nothing's changed. Learn from it. It's okay to be upset. You've won us games and you've kept us in games, and this is just one of those moments that didn't go the way you wanted it to go. But the best part about it is that, the next day I reached out to her to send her a message and just said, the best part about this is you can control the direction this goes. You can control how you approach things. You can control how you respond. You can respond positively or you can respond negatively. That's only your decision. So while that situation didn't go the way she wanted, she had complete control on how the future will go. And yeah, I think she, today in training she seemed fine, but we have to move on, and we got a point out of it against the top team in the league, and you have to continue to trust her. But like everything else, you got to perform, and part of that too is making sure that she doesn't need a mental break. If things start to become a snowball effect, which I don't think it will. But that was my message to her: just control what you can control, and take hold of what's ahead.
I think it's a great message. Before we officially move on to this Saturday's game, I do want to talk about the sellout crowd that you all had at Carey on Saturday night. It's the earliest sellout of a season for the NC Courage. What does it say kind of about this club to have that kind of response, that kind of showing from your fans so early on in the year?
Yeah, I think it's just a credit to the work everyone's put in, from behind the scenes to the efforts the players do. Look, you can have a sellout, but the performance on the field has to have play people want to come back. You have a sellout and you lose 7-0. People are going to start questioning, do I want to go spend my time at Wake Med Soccer Park? So look, anytime you come here, it's an entertaining environment. The fans are fantastic. They give us the extra boost that we need, especially in games like that. But again, like I said, it's the work that goes into it that people don't see that really allows for these things to happen. And everyone from the club, top to bottom, should be proud of it, because not too long ago we were getting 3,000 people. We had fans who didn't trust us, who didn't believe in us, who wanted to walk away because everything that was going on. We're well past that now, and I think it tells by the the people that are sitting and cheering us on every single weekend.
Well, you've got another home game this upcoming Saturday against a Chicago squad that it's admittedly been, struggling to start the year. I don't think that's, an unfair statement to say. But when you do have a team that's struggling and maybe desperate to kind of right this ship, what challenges does that present for your club?
Yeah, I mean, they have nothing to lose, right? I mean, they've had a coach, they've had a change, and you can see that there's been some adjustments to what they've been asked to do. But I think overall, we have to worry about ourselves. We have to worry about what we do and how we want to dictate the game. I felt like this past weekend we allowed Orlando to dictate how the game was going to be played. And that's not like us. So we want to get back to who we are and not play with any fear. And if we're gonna go and compete, let's compete our way and whatever after 90 minutes it gives us. But I expect that Chicago's going to come here with a good mentality. I think they're going to come here organized. I think they're going to present some problems in the final third. But if we're at the top of our game and we're disciplined and we have a free spirit about who we want to be and playing on the front foot, then I think any team that comes in here, they find it hard to play. So, but we just want to dictate the game from the first whistle and not allow others to come into our grounds and tell us how we want to play.
Certainly hoping that point streak goes to 4 straight games. Coach Nahas, thank you so much for your time. We appreciate it. We'll talk to
All
you
right,
next
thank
week.
you.
Joining us now is NC Courage defender Kaleigh Kurtz, three-time Iron Woman. I'm curious, when you joined the league in 2018, did you think that you would become a three-time Iron Woman just 8 years in?
No, I thought I would have been retired by now. So definitely didn't expect three Iron Woman.
What does it look like to become, I mean, even just a one-time Iron Woman? Because I imagine like the training, the endurance that you have to put in on your own is just so intense.
Um, I mean, we have an amazing strength and conditioning coach here at the Courage. We have for 9 years since 2017. We've had Mike Young. And so I really don't have to do much supplemental training. He makes sure that we are fit, we're ready to go for the weekend. If we're over meters, then he'll kind of tone it down. And if we're under, then, he knows what we need to do. So I just go based off of Mike, and he's kept me going for 8 years.
You set an NWSL record, the all-time consecutive regular season minutes leader for the league. When you hear that, what does that say about you and about your soccer journey?
Definitely resilience. I think it's tough on the body to be able to do that. I think I saw an interview from the attacking third at the end of last season, and they were just talking about how, knock on wood, never being injured or being sick where you need to sit out a game is really, really cool. So thank you, body, for doing your job. But I think most important is, if you had asked me 8 years ago, I don't think I thought a coach was going to believe in me enough to allow me to have this kind of minutes consecutively. So the fact that, Sean and I have such a good relationship, and we have a good communication, and he has just talked about, my role on the team. So I credit it to many people and not just myself.
I'm curious, why do you feel like 8 years ago you wouldn't have maybe believed that a coach would have that belief in you to be such a mainstay for their club?
I'm definitely changed. If you've seen me play 8 years ago, I barely knew how to pass a ball. So to now be one of the most consecutive, or highest passing percentage players is crazy. And it's a testament to the way that we train and the player development that we have here at the Courage. So yeah, I think it's just being open-minded as a player and learning and taking everything in so that you can play the style of play that the coach wants. But then in order to do that, you need to be comfortable enough to make mistakes and have a coach that allows you to have that environment to make those mistakes. And so even when I wasn't playing, I had Sean as a technical coach. When I wasn't traveling back in 2019, I would be back here in North Carolina doing extra touches with Sean and just getting my feet under me and learning more and more.
How has your relationship with Coach Nahas grown over your 8-year tenure with the Courage?
It's definitely changed. He was my go-to guy for anything defensive, even when I wasn't playing in 2018 through 2020. I would go bring in clips of Abby Urseg and Abby Dahlkemper and be like, what should they have done here? What should they have said to their outside back or the six? And so I just kind of picked his brain even when I wasn't playing, and they weren't even clips of me. So that's how I started developing a relationship with him. And then in 2019, he was my go-to guy on building my technical skills. And when I wasn't traveling, having someone to, kind of continue to grow as a player and develop, but also have someone who got an inside scoop of maybe why I wasn't traveling. So then I could work on those things. And then obviously I think relationships change a little bit when you become the head coach. You have to separate yourself a little bit more because you now have this overarching idea of how the team is supposed to run. And so he and I just kind of communicate when it's more big picture. And now he's kind of delegated the technical and player development to some of the other assistant coaches. So now when he talks to me, it's about big picture, tactical, in possession, things like that. So yeah, it's definitely changed over the years, but it's always been positive.
There's so much movement around the NWSL for players. It almost feels unheard of for a player to stick with one club for 8 seasons. What is it about the Courage that has you year in, year out? I mean, coming back to this club and re-signing contracts and extending your contract with this team?
Yeah, it's obviously a really good market. It's a good place to live. I love how green it is in Raleigh. That was one of the things when I was looking at schools. Obviously now me going back to college is like 13 years ago, so it's super far away. But during the recruiting process, I wanted to live somewhere that was very green. So I'm looking out right now. I wish I could turn the camera around and show you, but it's just trees and beautiful. And they're currently mowing the grass on the stadium, and it looks gorgeous. So I definitely love it here for that. But then we've just developed so much as a team, and we've really adopted this fun tiki-taka style where it's like total football. We all want to get on the ball and we get to learn and grow. So definitely the style of play is something that excites me.
I have to ask, I mean, does your fandom of the Carolina Hurricanes also keep you in Raleigh and with the Courage?
Not specifically them. It definitely helps because I'm a huge Hurricanes fan. Their tickets are getting more and more expensive. So good kudos to them for winning and being in the playoffs. But it's not really them keeping me there unless, you know, we want to do a little more collaboration. I would love that.
I think, I mean, we've got it out here now, so we just got to get it to the right people over at the Canes. I am curious, like, how did your fandom start? Because you show up almost every game, I feel like, in the Courage jersey, or in the Hurricanes jersey. You're such a huge fan. Like, walk me through how this happened.
I was born and raised a Buffalo Sabres fan, and there was one year in particular when I was 9 years old where the GM ended up selling all of their top players with free agency. So that the year after, when I was like 10, the next season was so different. It looked horrible. And so I just kind of stopped being a hockey fan from the age of 10 to, I'd probably say around 18-ish. And then I started picking hockey up again, and it became more exciting. And when I moved to Raleigh, I kind of wanted to separate myself from all the teams that my family has picked. So I just kind of stumbled on the Hurricanes and wanted to get back into the love of hockey. And it was the first time I was ever living in a city that had a professional hockey team, at least in the NHL. So I was super stoked to get back into it. And then I started looking up Rod Brindamore, and I thought that his story was really amazing. And even though he was a Flyer at one point, I will let that go. But I think he has a great tactical brain of the game. He seems to treat his players really well. They respect him. I love the way that he's got them going and playing. And obviously I'm a defender, so the fact that they have such a powerful power play or a power play kill is amazing. They've killed like so many penalties, and up until recently, I think they had 100% penalty kill rate. So yeah, I'm a big Rod fan, and I think that what he's doing with the team is awesome.
Okay, we're not done with you just yet. We've got a couple fun questions to ask, but we're going to quickly go to a break.
Okay.
We are back with Kaleigh Kurtz for our 8 rapid fire questions, of course, representing the 8 trophies the club has won. I mean, 6 of which I believe, Kaleigh, you've been a part of. Is it 6?
I would have to count, but I think so.
Okay. I did a little bit of homework on you. All right. Are you ready? First question. If you didn't play soccer, what would you be doing?
That is a great question, and I wish it was supposed to be more rapid fire. It used to be a simple answer because I wanted to be a vet, but now it's kind of changed because I don't want to go to school for 4 more years. So I've been dabbling in potentially public speaking.
Okay. All right. Well, we got to get you in on more of these shows then.
Right.
We can fine-tune your craft. We'll be good to go. You were the answer for one of your teammates for this next question. If you were on a desert island and you had to bring one teammate, who would you bring with you?
I was on a desert island. I'm trying to think of someone resourceful or at least funny and would, oh no. I feel like my answer is to clone me.
You were picked as the resourceful teammate, so I think that makes a lot of sense. We'll just clone you. I think that's a perfect
That sounds
answer.
bad.
If your life was you know what? You just have faith in yourself, and I love that. I think that's important for us all to have. That's a great
Well, I've been
message
camping
as
and
well.
backpacking since I was a baby, so
See, so then you know you're good to go. If your life was a movie, who would be playing you?
Keira Knightley.
Ooh, okay, love that one. I think she's got a good American accent. What's the craziest thing a fan has either given you or asked you to do?
A fan asked me for my cleats so they could sniff them.
Okay, and moving on. Okay, what's your most used emoji?
Oh, currently it's a green heart.
Okay, I like that. Nice. And you spoke about the greenery as well, so you're really a fan. All right, we are in North Carolina. Beach weekend or mountain weekend?
Right now I'm really needing the beach, so I'm going to say beach, but I think it depends on the time of year.
Me as well. What's more nerve-wracking for you? Playing in an NWSL playoff game or watching the Hurricanes on a playoff
Watching
run?
the Hurricanes on a playoff run.
And finally, Cheerwine, yay or nay?
Nay, sorry.
I'm with you on that one. All right, Kaleigh Kurtz, we appreciate you. I don't know that we're going to top your fan interaction on the year. I'm still a little shook by that, but we appreciate your time so much.
Thank you. Sorry for the honesty.
There is just so much personality to love on this NC Courage team. Quickly, before we go, let's take a look at what they have on deck this upcoming Saturday. They face the Chicago Stars, who admittedly have not had the best start to the season. They are 1-1-6 on the year and sit 14th in NWSL standings. They have not scored in 3 of their last 4 games. Their lone win came on the road against Bay FC on April 13th. Have had some changes early on this season. They parted ways with head coach Lauren Donaldson. So not exactly the way you want to start the year. Lauren joined the club in 2024 and led the Stars to an NWSL playoff appearance last season. The club has allowed 17 goals in 8 games this season, which comes as a surprise with former U.S. women's national team goaltender Alyssa Nair in net. She started every game and made 18 saves. Not a lot of offense for the Stars either. They've been shut out in 5 of their 8 games. They've only scored 5 goals this season, with 2 of those goals coming from Ludmilla. She's had 2 goals this season, the only multi-goal scorer for the Stars this season. It's an early start Saturday, a 5 p.m. start over at WakeMed Soccer Park, so be sure to head out and enjoy a perfect Saturday with the club. That's going to do it for us here on Extra Time with the Courage. We'll see you next week.